ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Kasper Hauser Experiment.
Kasper Hauser was a foundling. He appeared in Nuremberg in 1828 and had nothing more than a couple of notes from mysterious parents and a few religious pamphlets, and he could only say one line, I want to be a rider like my father was.
Part 1.
The creation space is giving us the time and the playground to explore timeline, looking at the facts of the world, coming to terms with those facts, coming to terms with the holes in the research, more importantly, for each character. Where haven't we applied ourselves enough? Asking questions, probably asking more questions than answering questions at this stage. And then really starting to, through that world, through the timeline, through those facts, really pinpoint who these characters are.
Did the first bite touch his mouth that he began to shake, and his facial muscles went into violent spasms. He seemed to hear without understanding, to see without talking, without taking anything in.
This week has thrown up so many unexpected processes and experiences and discoveries that it's really exciting to see where it's going to go, and it's challenging our whole process of composition.
It feels like our language that we've been so familiar with is now being challenged to expand. So we have to decide in the moment whether this is the right time for text or for music or for physical movement or for just simply interacting with someone else in the space to try to tell the story.
For paper, my friend! Did you put paper on my face? That's what... Don't touch me! Please, Kasper, please, don't touch me, please! I should eat my words. Is that not the phrase?
No.
What there's seven around here? I should never. I should never.
No.
And you will eat your way.
This week has really been about deepening everything. To build on last week, all of that great work into character and relationships, and that world building that takes place early on in rehearsals.
His cell measured 7 feet by 4 feet by 5 feet high. He was probably a little more than a beast.
Kaspar Hauser was a foundling. He appeared in Nuremberg in 1828 and had nothing more than a couple of notes from mysterious parents and a few religious pamphlets, and he could only say one line, I want to be a rider like my father was. So we've been kind of unpicking the mystery and discovering new mysteries about the story through song, through movement, through painting.
I like being able to investigate not only the story of Kaspar Hauser, but how we devise. This week has been about that active devising in the space and that balance between those two polar opposites, holding back from running too fast and allowing ourselves to become a little bit self-indulgent and maybe letting the improvisations take over.
The aim of this work is to find that blend, and I suppose these past 2 weeks have been a challenge in the best possible way of finding a common language and being able to use and share all the skills that we have in the room.
When you're telling historical stories, like the Kaspar Hauser myth, it can be quite tempting to play with chronology and to play with a very linear narrative where everything seems very there and then. And what we've been trying to do is create a world where all these characters can exist in the same place. Some of them never met.
Kasper, do a trick for us. Can you do a trick for us? Can you play horses? Can you play horses? No, can you play horses? He does do a really good trick. He does do a really good trick. You must see it. I see it. Do this, the horses. The horses.
He said he would not like to inhabit that man's mind, for it must be a dark place with nothing in it, except the wrong that was growing by the minute, bigger and bigger, in a place that could not grow.
This week has been pretty much primarily focused on dramaturgy. We've had 2 full-on weeks of exploration, exploring character, the world of the play, diving into the Kasper Hauser story in quite a lot of detail, and now we're exploring how we shift from exploration into the sort of modalities that we need in order to take authorship.
The process has been very interesting in that we have explored individually our authorization over the story of Kasper Hauser, all of us exploring our individual channels of story, and by investigating that, identifying some of the most important moments, the turning points, the arcs of the story of each character, and in identifying that, then being able to sort of score the story.
There is something strange afoot. Our task is to uncover the crime that was, without doubt, committed against him. There are the facts. There are the stories.
We've added elements of semi-structured composition into the chapters that we've been working on today, and we've just recorded.
We've tried a few different ways of generating material musically, and different ways of then communicating them to the actors, and then different ways of recreating them in the space and in alongside what's going on.
Being able to reflect is a very important part of the process. You see something and it clicks in a little bit later, and being able to kind of notate that, share that amongst each other, and then seeing what sticks over time, and using that as a sign of it being a powerful point,
Mm-hmm. What audiences are going to see is a multidisciplinary play with text, movement, music, all coming together to tell the story of one of the most enigmatic, mysterious figures in European and world history. Everybody wants a piece of him. Psychologists, writers, philosophers, and now this is our turn.